Hello, I'm Luke Hatfield. You join me and Joe Edwards. Joe, you've just gone out of Molineux. I tell you what, as 90 minutes of football, that was something grim from Wolves, wasn't it?
It was awful, shambolic, embarrassing, pathetic. I mean, no real words can do it justice as just how bad it was. I mean, of course, defensive shockers have not been... we've not been short of them this season, unfortunately, but this has to be the worst of the lot. And what makes it so frustrating, and, well, even above that, really, it's infuriating, to be honest, that they've played against Chris Wood several times in the past. They know exactly what he's about. He's always an aerial threat. He's a target man. He's a traditional striker. I completely played into his hands, and you know, by the time he got the first and then the second, the hat-trick was just a sheer formality. Not even trying to challenge him. It was you know, a horror show defensively. You know, it's the worst I've seen him this season, and that's saying something. But absolutely terrible. And you know, there's still 5 games left of this season, but Christ, they've got to show a bit more heart and a bit more passion, because if they perform like that, then they'll have a thrashing in the derby as well next week.
Yeah, that's it. And like you said, Joe, just so many silly errors from players. I mean, Willy Bolly, I mean, he didn't have a good day today. Romain Saiss as well for the final goal, just giving away the ball. And it did seem like some of these players probably look at the league table and see that Wolves, let's be honest, haven't got much to play for now. And maybe that game just completely passed them by.
It had all the hallmarks of a team that's safe and not really playing for much. But they've got to play for the shirt and play for the fans. And you know, the effort, and I mean, Nuno said it's not a question of attitude afterwards, but you know, I think there was some stats. One of the guys in the press box said, I haven't seen this, but apparently Burnley ran 6k more than Wolves did. I mean, if that is true, that is a damning indictment on that Wolves performance, because it wasn't just a lack of creativity, a lack of flair, and a lack of organisation. There did seem to be a lack of effort as well, especially, you know, 3-0 down. You'd think, right, you've kind of got nothing to lose now. Just try and you know, roll the dice a little bit, be a bit more expansive, be a bit more creative, and then never ever look like forging a fight back. The only thing that they had was the odd run from Traore down the right and a deflected cross and a little bit of this and that. But, you know, Burnley were good value for a fourth. I mean, you know, Vidra had just been flagged offside before that. Wood had another one where he turned Cody inside out yet again and put it into the hands of Patricio. So it could have been more than 4. And I mean, Burnley, you know, let's be honest, they come into this game 17th, the 3 losses on the spin. They're not the best team in the league by any means, but Wolves have made them look like absolute world beaters today.
Yeah, that's it. And it's not just problems at the back either. And I mean, Wolves' lack of creativity has been something that, you know, we've all seen this season, but they showed next to nothing going forward as well, which is just another worrying point, because if you're going to concede goals, and you've got to try and score them at least to get any kind of result, and they just didn't look like doing that either, did they?
Well, no, because you know, Willian Jose finally got off the mark last weekend, but I'd barely kicked the ball in this game, and then Daniel Pedence is well off here. Don't know if he's came back a little bit too quickly or whatever, but he's not at it at all. He's not at the races. He's not been at the races for the last few weeks. And again, he was really poor. You know, I think he's a player that I think would be lucky to start against Derby in the way he's going.
Yeah. And
yeah, so you know, if you're not going to score, if you're not going to create anything, and then you look at 6s and 7s at the back, I mean, that is a disastrous recipe at any time. But when you've got a striker like Wood who knows Wolves and has done well against them in the past, it's meat and drink for him. He'll want to play against Wolves every week. I mean, if he did, he'd be top scorer in the Premier League. Yeah. So just a disastrous day. And I know, you know, I think everyone's feeling a bit emotional after that and a bit disgusted, but you know, it makes it obvious that they need to do stuff in the summer. We've said it already plenty of times that they need to get signings in and need to improve the squad. It's a massive summer. But in the meantime, they've still got 5 games left, and they've got Albion next, and they've got to at least show some heart and show some passion, because, you know, it was lacking today.
Yeah, you just highlighted it there, Joe. Like, lastly, you know, you've got the Black Country Derby coming up, and now Wolves have to pick themselves up after that, dust themselves off, and get ready for a game which means that little bit more.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, as I say, I mean, they haven't really got a huge amount to play for in terms of position in the league, but you've got to still play for the shirt, and and some of these players are playing for their futures, really. Yeah. You know, they've got to prove that they're still good enough to be in this group moving forward, or if they're not, then you know, they'll either be replaced or maybe some of them moved on. You know, so you know, in football you can never stand still. The job is never done. Well, when you've achieved one thing, there's always something else that you can do, and there's always a point to prove. So you know, they've got to have a different approach, a different mentality, and obviously a damn sight of a better performance than they had today. It was awful. They don't look like scoring. You know, the defence was just, God, Willy Bolly looked like a completely different player. Cody run ragged by Wood. Sace calamitous for that last goal, and yeah, it's just it's well, I say it's once to forget it, but you can't really forget it. You know, you've got to learn harsh lessons from it. And make sure, well, I say don't happen again, because they've had a few drubbings this season, but try and end the season on a positive note, because that was nowhere near, absolutely nowhere near good enough.
Yeah, not good enough from Wolves. That does us for this video, but you know where to go for all your post-match reaction, expressandstar.com.